Greetings, people. I come in peace. Wilder immediately looked like a fish out of water when the first bell sounded, clumsily stepping backwards, nearly falling over his own feet. I was waiting to see if my suspicions were right, that Wilder's power wouldn't garner the disturbance, the effects he was used to having on lesser opponents. After all, Zang was 68 pounds heavier than him. Wilder let his hands go and caught Zang several times, but to no avail. Zang jumped on Wilder as soon as he threw the right hand, knowing this is when Wilder was at his most vulnerable, as Wilder throws his punches with such force that when he misses, he's out of position with his hands down. Food for Zang. When Wilder got right hand happy, Zang threw his right hook from the southpaw stance, which seemed to really discombobulate Wilder and sent him circling in the opposite direction, only to turn into another up-and-coming hook, which put him down heavily. He was up at 9, but wasn't in any condition to carry on. It was over in round 5. Now, was it really a surprise that Wilder lost to Zang? Come on, people, let's be real. For years, many of us said that Deontay Wilder isn't a good boxer by any stretch of the imagination.
I mean, where's the skill in that?
And has been in that position due to clever marketing and promoting. He didn't really fight any live opponents until Ortiz, and that was 33 or 34 fights into his career. The moment he stepped up in competition, he was denuded. The veneer, the facade, the mask was peeled back and he was discovered. But even before that, an astute eye could see his flaws, limitations, could see through the shrewd merchandising of the Wilder mythos. You see, every time Wilder stepped up in class, he lost. Not only lost, but was completely outclassed. That doesn't happen to great fighters, consistently anyway. Wilder has lost 4 of his last 5 fights in drastic fashion, whether that be by complete points shutout or knockout. I'd like to say Wilder was exposed, but that doesn't really interpret and define the situation satisfactorily enough. In my eyes, Wilder was never that good, so there was nothing to expose. There was a reason he avoided so many big fights. Like AJ, Klitschko, Sanchez, Ruiz, Hunter, Miller, and many more. Even Dylan White would pose serious problems for Wilder. If you had a modicum of punch resistance and could box, Wilder would be in difficulty. Yes, he has a big right hand, which got him out of jail a few times, but against prosaic, unremarkable opposition. Wilder's punch, although being powerful, was telegraphed. Sometimes it was so quick you couldn't get out of the way even if you saw it coming. But most top level fighters would make it hard for Wilder to throw it cleanly, or ride the punch, or simply cover and counter. It wasn't hard to figure out that Wilder's punch power was nullified if he was moving backwards. His punches was ineffective against Parker, who got caught by it several times. It was ineffective against Zang, of course. The only person in the top rankings it had the desired effect on was Fury, who still ended up beating Wilder due to his recuperative abilities and movement. Interestingly, the moment these two boxers stepped up in competition, their problems started. They both successfully avoided challenging fights until
the Excellency, Turki Al-Sheikh,
cajoled, enticed, and seduced, even entrapped them to take the fights they so vehemently strived to avoid. There was nowhere to run, there was nowhere to hide. If you wanted the money, you couldn't con your way anymore. They had to finally step into the crucible. If you listen to people talk about the so-called legendary trilogy between Wilder and Fury, they'll invariably say the second fight was Tyson Fury at his most glorious and sublime. Well, I implore you to watch that bout again. It reminded me of 2 inebriated men fighting in a wet car park, especially after the 3rd round. Talk about balance and equilibrium issues. Wilder, as usual, was in complete disarray. Fury held his shape and came forward, clubbing and smothering Wilder into submission. Fury was good, but nothing special. Wilder had his hands by his nipples from the 1st round onwards. It wasn't very erudite or scholarly to figure out what to do with him. The fervour of that win was distorted and excessive, and as we can see now, was unwarranted. Question: how would Fury fare against Parker or Zang? He'd probably do better than Wilder, no doubt, but he'd likely lose as well. The deluded, misguided or corrupt media was instrumental in boosting both men beyond their abilities and enabled both men to proclaim themselves to belong in the pantheon of the greatest boxers in history. How does that look now? How dare anyone put Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, with their limited resumes and abilities, in the same macrocosm, star cluster, star system as the greats? Outrageous! Could you seriously put them with the likes of Jack Johnson, Dempsey, Gene Tunney, Joe Louis, Liston, Ali, Foreman, Rocky Marciano, Fraser, Patterson, Holmes, Norton, Tyson, Lewis, Bowe, Holyfield? Champions who defended their belts against formidable opponents, took pride in their position as champions. Wilder and Fury couldn't lace their boots, and history now underlines that. At this point, if there's anyone still talking of Wilder and Fury as a great, must be trolling. I don't want to hear anything about Wilder's punching power has suddenly disappeared because of this or because of that. No, he just moved up in class. Face it, a huge percentage of boxing fans and pundits were deluded. Fury and Wilder gave us some good, exciting fights, but great does not come into my description of both of these men. Maybe this is a very telling aspect of our generation today. But I'm glad to say there's many boxers who are striving, who are potentially great, who are in the category of great fighters now. Anyway, thanks for listening. Please subscribe if you like. And remember, choose life.
How gratifying it is to work for the betterment of mankind.